Hi everyone, Dom Famularo here. I love that opening video. I just every time I see it, I see a different aspect of the fantastic quality that Alan Vater and the Vater Company puts into the effects of how they make the quality product that they make, and that it's in the hands of so many great drummers and percussionists around the world. This is so exciting. Thank you all for joining me. There's much to explain here. Let's just start with next week, because who I have here this week is so great. Next week on June 25th, we're bringing in Brent Fitz of Slash, featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. We'll be checking in with us to share some career history, advice, and stories from his personal professional experience. Brent has been on the kit for Alice Cooper, Vince Neil, Gene Simmons, Ronnie Montrose, Brad Whitford of Aerosmith, and so many more. On top of the drums, he also plays bass with rock legends The Guess Who. So he'll be joining me next week on the 29th. Come on by, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Brett Fitz will be here. This will be just fantastic to see him here and hear his stories. Today, it's always interesting. The Vater Company has these connections to all these phenomenal musicians. And Chad Brandolini, who is the incredible artist relations for the Vater Company, has the connections of all these people. We map out who we're going to bring on. And Chad always finds people that have incredible stories to tell. And this next gentleman is an absolute enthusiastic spirit that's going to just kind of lift you up when you hear some of these stories. Fantastic. Would you please, this next one, I got to bring up a picture. John Cowsill is going to join us here, coming up and check out some of these pictures here. The next hour will be loaded with amazing stories and lots of laugh. John Cowsill of the legendary Beach Boys is here with us today. John has spent his entire life in the music industry. He became a child star with his family band, the Cowsills, who were the inspiration for the Partridge Family television show. John is a multi-instrumentalist and singer and has sung on many recordings, including one that everyone knows and sings along to, 8675339. Jenny, this is so fantastic. John also has a side project, the band Action Skulls, with his wife, Vicky Peterson of the Bangles, and with actor-writer Bill Mumy, who another phenomenal childhood actor, which we'll get into more of these stories here. Would you please welcome John Cowsill?
Hi, Dom.
John, thank you so much for joining us. This is, I get a kick out of your story and the experiences that you have been blessed with. I mean, you think about the life that you have led and continue to lead. It really is one of just this fantastic, to a degree, a fairy tale story in you being influential to musicians for years and years, which is so powerful.
It's unbeknownst to me. I think I'm on the low level of anybody who knows anyone, because I don't know. I'm not on a lot of social media either, so I don't know what's happening. But yeah, man, I just love to play drums. And I also want to comment on the opening of this show with the Vater Stick Factory, and Alan and Chad have just been so awesome, man. And Chad's a really great friend, Chad Brandolini, and I've been in that room down there, and just, it's so special. And they're great sticks, and that has brought us here to this moment to have this conversation with the legendary ambassador himself, Dom.
Well, I'll tell you, John, what's great about it is that, and the Cowsill story has been somewhat well documented throughout the years of what it is. But I want you to just kind of capture some of the, beginning stages of how this kind of began for you, and how did you, as a kid, listen, Rhode Island, how the heck from Rhode Island did you end up on this machine that was just global?
Yeah, Tom Hanks asked that very same question when we approached him about making some kind of a movie. He says, I want you to explain to me how within a 2-year span, as far as he knew it was 2 years, you went from working in that bar to being on Ed Sullivan. How did that happen? I could never tell anybody how that happened. It was just, we grew up singing folk songs all the time. My dad was in the Navy. He had too many kids. And my oldest brother, Bill, is basically my family's Brian Wilson. And he raised us singing. I mean, we just always sang. I mean, I was so shy, twisting up my shorts, singing My Hillbilly Baby. And And we just, yeah, there they are. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. They're so sweet. And you know, I look at that adoringly now. I say, oh, look at those guys. You know, I don't think it's us, but yeah, it was a fascinating start. And I remember my brothers would do hoot nannies with the acoustic guitars, and they'd come home and they'd make $5. And um, my brother Bill used to sing Connie Francis songs, you know, because he was this young falsetto kind of singer guy who's just got the voice of doom. He passed on, but he was the best singer in our whole band, and he trained us all really well to be really, really solid singers, and that turned into the Beatles came out. You know, I said this on our Vater, my Vater interview thing that I love doing. That was so fun, and we saw the Beatles and instantly went into a back room and to lip sync and learn those songs and stuff. I don't know how it happened, but I guess my brother Bill asked, hey, we need a drum set. And my dad, who was in the Navy, was moonlighting as a carpenter. And he had a friend named Neil Sylvia, who I guess played drums, because all of a sudden this blue sparkle 1956 Ludwig kit with calfskin heads came in. Yeah, it was the best. And I sat down, and that night it came right into the living room, set it up on the floor. My brother had his Silvertone guitar. The other one had the Harmony archtop guitar through one Silvertone amplifier. And my brother Barry was the first drummer, and he's sitting at the kit and he's playing, and I got on it. We were all just able to play the damn thing. You know, I'm just a beat, but that's all I still do is just play the beat. But we were able to go, you know, then I say that might cause you pain. You can't do that was the first song I played on drums, you know, and it was just awesome. And so they started doing a few trio things in the New Jersey area, in the Bergen County, North Bergen. I think they played a couple of North Bergen high school dances, and they would come home late at night and they'd count like $300. That was such a big deal. We'd all get out of bed. Oh my gosh, you guys made this money. I guess that sprung a light in my dad's head. You know, maybe we could do something with this. You know what? We don't know, but there's a lot of famous people out there. How do you do this? And during all that time, the drums are in the house. We borrowed them full time now. And so they're in my bedroom, which is kind of the rehearsal room. We had these bunk beds in there. Barry and I slept there. But when nobody was in there, I would sit at that kit and I would just play for hours. And nobody ever said, don't do that. The neighbors upstairs, anyone. So maybe I wasn't sucking. I don't know. But there was, and I remember specifically no light bulbs in the house. So you'd always rob one from the hallway to get down to the next room. And it was really weird. I guess we were poor, but we didn't know it. So it didn't matter. So I used to play I turned the amplifiers on for the blue glow of the tubes and the red or blue light that's on the front. And, you know, your eyes adjust. So now it's magic in that room playing drums. And all of a sudden, they started taking me to the threesome gigs and letting me sit in. And then we came back home from a show, and Bill says, we need a bass. You know, we need a bass guitar. So my dad went down to Moss Music Center in Newport and bought an old K bass, which God, I wish I had today, but just a tone knob and a volume knob. And we just became this power thing. Within 6 months, I was playing in a bar 4 sets a night. And the cops came and raided the place, and the mayor said it was okay for us to play there as long as we're not drinking, and as long as we'll put you in a room in the back during your breaks. So we're in the room in the back, Dom, and it's nothing but cases of liquor everywhere. So it's like, right, sitting on a box of Cutty Sark, you know. It was hilarious. It was really funny, but that was some great times and doing that. And the national side of it all started because people would come to Newport and for vacations from New York City and stuff. And some people from the Today Show were there, and somehow they negotiated something with my dad. We got in the old Ward white Ford non-passenger station wagon and all went up to New York and sang acoustically with Hugh Downs as the host. And Barbara Walters, very young Barbara Walters, was there. I can't remember the third guy, but he was really tall with these Buddy Holly glasses and blonde hair. Everybody was tall to me then, though. And Johnny Nash had seen that show, and so he had contacted us somehow, and that was our first record label, was on Joda Records, and Johnny Nash was our producer, and that was late 1964 and early 65, and took us into Bell Sound in New York City. And I just got from a friend, Ron Fermanak, who's a major treasure hunter. I have all the masters of all those things. We were doing Jimmy Reeves stuff, just crazy stuff, and all R&B. Johnny had so many songs he wrote. You Can't Go Halfway, Why I Go, just some great tunes. And it was just the four brothers at that time. And then we put out our first single, All I Really Want to Be Is Me. It's very Tom Petty-ish for back then. It's a cool tune. And then after there, that hit fizzled. Johnny's label went down. I don't know why we left there, but we ended up at Mercury with Shelby Singleton, and who did Harper Valley PTA. He did a lot of gimmick songs. Yeah. And so he saw us and these two little boys, and now I'm probably 8 or 9. And he said, oh, this is cute. So he gave us cute songs and novelty songs. And us kids didn't like it. But my dad said, you'll do these, because this is how it goes, And we weren't playing on our own. That was the first time I learned about studio musicians. And no, we're going to have our guys play it. And, I've already got a thorn up my butt about that, because I think I'm the shit at 9, and I'm really not. But I could play that beat still. I could play that one beat all different speeds during one song. And so we did not like that. And there was a guy there named Artie Kornfeld, who was a staff producer at 20 years old. I mean, just amazing how young people were back then and are today in the business, who are the big boys. But as a 9-year-old, everybody's older. And he said, you guys got to get out of here. And he took us into Bell Sound as well and recorded our first album and covered the cost and everything. And then got us a deal with Lenny Stogel Management, who managed Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, Tommy James and the Shondells, Keith and the Wild Kingdom, just people. And he got us the MGM contract, which gave us our first #1 record, Rain in the Park and Other Things. And then it just went up and then fizzled. Yeah, there it is. It was a good record.
So you're 8, 9. Were you somewhat aware, John, of what was going down as far as the movement of all of this? Was there? I mean, now you're in the studio. You did the Today Show. Did any of this kind of begin to sink in a little bit?
No, I was just always worried about getting in trouble. My dad was a real butcher on kids and stuff. So I was just, I would do anything. The thing I liked about being in the business is that those people really liked me, and I could get them to like me by doing what I do. Right. And so it was really validating growing up. Kind of maybe messed me up a little bit later on, because, I can make you like me, but now I don't know what to do after that. Right. So I had to traverse some area, but I feel pretty normal now. Oh, there it is. Anyway, you like those sticks, right? Vater.
I'm going to start hanging Vater sticks from my ceiling here just so I have this here.
No. So yeah, it was interesting. Damn.
It was an amazing time too in the 60s. So a couple of good questions.
I love the 60s. I mean, it was mini skirts, and I'm a kid, I'm about to hit puberty, which is like the worst time to be a drummer. But a lot of people won't know that because they started later. So that enters, and now you're just a mess. You can't play right. I grew up being told, don't play that, don't do that. Your time sucks, and so I'm kind of gun shy of. In my youth, I was with my oldest brother, Bill, Waddy Wachtel. I grew up with Waddy Wachtel, and, he was amazed that our band could play those songs, because we grew up in Newport all together, and he was down at Dorian's and we were at the MK, and somebody says, Waddy, you got to go see these guys at the MK, man. They'll blow your mind. And he just went in, and he was probably 18, and his jaw hit the ground. He says, who the F are these kids, and just became family friends forever. And, but that was a great time of life. I love the 60s, and I'm so glad. I think I would have missed it had I not been in the music business the way that I liked it. You know, it was the music scene, Incense and Peppermint. I mean, just the music had changed, and I just loved it. I didn't know why. I didn't know it was a scene happening yet because I'm just a kid, but I was in it.
So did you see that? How influential were the Beatles on you? And did you see the Beatles on television? Was that the first?
Yeah, on television, it was Ringo Starr on those drums, and I just wanted to be a drummer. I knew I wanted to be a drummer, but I saw them, and it changed everybody's lives. The Beatles changed everybody. Every time a record came out, we learned it immediately. You know, with the record on the needle up and down. Sheet music was worthless back then. Not that we could read it anyway, but we at least got the words, but we just listened and learned by ear. I think we thought we played a C and thought that was a D forever. On a piano, we'd tune a step down always. We grew up that way, and it wasn't until we did a craft music call that somebody says, actually, that's a C. And the piano says, you're what? And we like, oh my God, we've been out of tune the whole time. It's like, it was just wild. But the Beatles were just the best. And then the whole British invasion broke out. Dave Clark 5, Herman's Hermits, Jerry and the Pacemakers, the Kinks, the Who. I saw them at the Fillmore. I mean, I was there at Fillmore East watching Jefferson Airplane with the planes coming down. The audience saw Arthur Brown there, saw Keith Moon destroy his drum kit there. I'm smelling the place. I'm 11. I'm 10 or 11 years old. I'm in the moment and I'm loving it. It's like Almost Famous without being a journalist. I just was there at the right time.
It's absolutely amazing. And you think about that, like the Beatles on February 9th of 1964, that's when they kind of hit the Ed Sullivan Show. But now here you are, you're on the Ed Sullivan Show. You're on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, which was the show. You know, Ed Sullivan and Carson, American Bandstand, the music show. This was incredible.
Dick Cavett, Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, you name any show that was out there, we were on it. For sure.
Absolutely. So that experience, I mean, here you are with Ed Sullivan. I mean, this is musical, cultural history at its best. John, this is so deep.
It's awesome.
Do you have any memories of those shows at all that stick out at all?
Yeah. I remember the first time going to that place, the Ed Sullivan Theater. Yeah. And we lived right around the corner from it on 888 8th Avenue. We lived in Rhode Island, and then when we signed with MGM, we moved there because we were commuting too much to play in the studios. We recorded a lot at A&R on 7th Avenue, which was around the corner from my house as well. And Roy Sakella and Shelly Yakis. Roy was our main engineer, and Shelly was the tape boy. It's like he was the second engineer. And both those guys became booming big things. And I remember them rolling the 8-track in there the first time, seeing the 8-track machine come into that studio. But anyway, so we're living around the corner from Ed Sullivan Theater, and my favorite Chinese restaurant is in the bottom by the entry called the China Song. And we go in there, and that first day of being in that theater, they had something else planned. They filmed To Tell the Truth, and the price is right there. And I stayed at home with my mom while my brothers went to school, watching these shows, having no idea where they were ever filmed and stuff. And we're there, and we're on To Tell the Truth with the real Barbara Cowsill stand up because nobody really knew who we were yet. And Kitty Carlisle was there, Soupy Sales, Bud Collyer was the host, who I loved because he was the voice of Superman in the cartoon. And he would say, this looks like a job for Superman. And he'd lower his voice and up and away, and it's like, I got to meet him, talk to him, met Bill Cullen. Oh my God.
Bill Cullen, for those who don't know, Bill Cullen was a very well-known master of ceremonies and announcer on television. I mean, he was huge for sure. But then on the Johnny Cash show, you're on the Johnny Cash show. Johnny Cash performed with the Cowsills.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we did the Johnny at the Ryman Theater. We we played that. We did 2 Johnny Cash shows. And I mean, somebody pinched me. Minnie Pearl, who some of you won't know who she is, but she was the howdy and had the price tag on her hat. She was the loveliest creature ever. And she took me by the hand backstage of the Ryman and showed us where Grandpa Jones's room, met Grandpa Jones, met all the people from the Grand Ole Opry. And she shows me her shoes that she has had resold since she was 11, the same shoes. And it's all the metal Minnie Pearl. And she brought her chicken in for everybody. And June Carter was as sweet as can be. And her girls were really young then. And Johnny himself was just amazing. And like, I was still a kid, so I didn't get to really hang out with them all.
Yeah.
But and I always say that a sad moment for my brother Robert was that he was invited by Johnny to come to Johnny's house to sit in and have a jam session with, Chet Atkins, Carl Perkins, the Tennessee Three, all these great players are going there. Ernie Ford was going over there. Oh, and my dad told him, "You're not going over there. They're drinking and doing drugs and that kind of stuff." It's like, no, they're not. And if they are, it's just, so ridiculous. It's so sad.
It was a very different mentality years ago, and how parents saw what the 60s was changing.
Yeah, but he was a fun spoiler for everything. He was like, we just lived in fear. We were called the Flinch family from him. It's like, get me on stage, quick, somebody, get me away from this knucklehead. It's the bad dad, Joe Jackson thing, whatever. I never hated my dad, but I sure didn't like him very much.
Well, you seem to have really come out of this intent.
Yeah.
You kind of came out with a beautiful, positive spirit and all that.
I was born that way. It's all I can attribute it to. You couldn't beat it out of me. There's no way. I'm a Pisces. I laugh. Everything's a joke. I'm probably torture people, but
What a healthy outlook. What a very, very
that gig was great. And I think when we went to MGM, they put my mom and my sister in the band. And I think that kind of messed with my older brothers, because we wanted to be the Beatles and the Stones and all that kind of stuff, and kind of got taken to that zone. And the music we put out, they didn't even want to put out Hair because we did that for a TV show. Carl Reiner had contacted us and said, "Hey, you guys want to lip sync a song and wear leathers and chains? That would be really fun for the Cowsills to do something like that." And I think it was my oldest brother, Billy, says, "Well, we'll do that, but we'll record our own version of Hair and we'll lip sync to that." And he says, "Okay, whatever, So we went to a TG&G on Highland, or TT&G, where Angel Bastier was the engineer. And we went in there and it took 50-second takes because I kept screwing up the bridge and slow way down. It's like, and I'm a mess because I wanted to talk about that puberty thing. When you're puberty and you're playing drums, you're sweating everywhere. You're just a nervous wreck constantly. And you got somebody saying, "That sucks. That sucks." It's like, yeah, I know I suck. And so you start believing that kind of stuff, unfortunately. And so I'd get psyched out, here it comes, here comes the bridge, instead of relaxing, tensing up. Anyway, we got it in 52 takes. It became our biggest hit, and it's still on the radio. Yeah, that's me. And if you listen to it, you'll hear it. It goes all over the place like a three-legged cat, But we went together, and that's the most important thing I tell kids. If you weren't born with being the groovy guy, and don't have that natural pocket, you can attain it. You have to work on that. I get a little excited sometimes, rushing a fill or something. I'll pull it right back,
But that's a part of the natural evolvement of the human nature, that the audience is going right there with you, and it really doesn't make that much of a difference as long as the feeling is right there.
No, it doesn't. I love to play, and I really enjoy it later now. I always tell people I'm not the best drummer, so what? But I have the best time being one. And the fact that I've had a career, I can't believe that I've had a career doing this. I can't. I just started working. I never learned how to play the drums other than what I picked up along the way, and
well, you've been around some phenomenal musicians that it was really easy to steal and take in some advice. But
oh my God, all the great drummers. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, an incredible amount of drums. But the Cowsills kind of inspired the whole Partridge Family.
Yeah.
How did that all happen? I mean, all of a sudden that was happening. It was huge.
We had just come off doing milk commercials, and Screen Gems was part of that deal, I think. And so they'd been observing us for a while and say, well, this sounds like a great, show, a TV show or something. So they approached somebody in my family or management or something, and they came to California. We'd moved to California when the record companies came out in '68. So everybody left New York, it seemed like, at that point. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And so we came to California. Now that's exciting for a Newport, Rhode Islander. I'm going to have a California ID. It was like the coolest thing. And, because we moved to La La Land when we moved to California. We were on San Vicente in 19th Street with a tennis court and a swimming pool. It's like we went from rags to riches over that. And it's like, somebody pinched me. Oh, that's funny, because that neighborhood, we went into the neighborhood and we started knocking on doors to find kids to play with, what we did growing up. And butlers were answering the door, and we wanted to play stickball on La Mesa Drive, and they just did not want us there. We were like the Beverly Hillbillies of this neighborhood. Not kidding. I mean, they TP'd our house. They broke into our rehearsal room, which was the pool house, and threw all our instruments in our swimming pool, floating things. The cops came out. It's like, wow, who would do that? Steal it, but don't destroy it. A Hammond organ in the bottom of the pool. It ain't too cool, but
what a waste.
No, but I got a new kid out of it, so I didn't care.
So what's amazing about it is that there were, the Sears catalog had Cowsills drum seats and different. I mean, this thing was spreading. I mean, the reference in The Simpsons, you guys have been referenced there. Yeah. Letterman Show. I mean, there really is this pop culture image that is still happening today with it.
We have been the butt of many jokes, and my best one was, of all people, like, you're kidding, right? Was Paul Williams. He dissed us on some show, because we're a good butt of a joke, David Letterman like that. But I didn't like it too much. But it's like, because we didn't want, we knew it too. It's like my brother Barry stopped using his last name. I couldn't get a gig if I said John Cowsill. Oh, you're in that family. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll call you. No. So it was tough. So I went and got regular jobs, because when we ended around 72, God, there's so much to tell. I don't even know what order to put it in, but so many things happened along the way of this beautiful life that I have, that I'm still playing drums today. And that's the bottom line. Okay. We'll see you all next week. Be here when Brent gets here, because he is a badass mofo drummer, man.
What's amazing is that after the Cowsills, you had a few projects, but then you recorded some vocal tracks with Harry Chapin.
Oh, yeah, Living Room Suite. Yeah. Well, okay, I call that the Plotkin years. We weren't doing anything for a long time, but around 1978, my sister was living with her boyfriend, John Meyer, who was a brother-in-law of Jackson Browne. And Jackson was just lovely. And we played him some songs. We tried to pitch some recordings we did to Windsong, I think was John Denver's label. And instead of taking us, they took the Starland vocal band, whatever, at Afternoon Delight guys. But Jackson introduced us to Chuck Plotkin, who produced a lot of Bruce Springsteen stuff. And actually, when we met him, he was mixing Darkness on the Edge of Town. And he just fell in love with us, and we with him, and we were his 5-year mission at Clover Recorders. 5 years we recorded so much material. One album we have with him that's on iTunes now is called Cocaine Drain. And, we got to play with Buzzy Featon, Neil Larson, Ernie Watts, Billy Payne. So, these guys are coming in here. Steve Foreman, great percussionist. Oh, such a lovely guy with me. And Chuck is the one who turned my I suck drumming around to like, no, this is cool. This is really fun, because he had us sing on Harry Chapin's album, gave us some bucks for that. I went through the union. It was amazing. And Harry loved it. And I think that was one of his last albums, maybe Living Room Suite. I'm not sure.
Harry died in 1981, and I had known Harry Chapin. Harry Chapin lived on Long Island.
Yeah.
I had met Harry Chapin back in the late 60s because I was taking lessons from his father, Jim Chapin.
Yes.
A very famous jazz drummer, Jim Chapin. And I had met Harry, and Harry was just a sweetheart of a guy. And Harry was a real person that was involved with many causes,
Yes, advocate.
Why hunger, food and poverty was his mission. Unfortunately, he passed away at 81. But you had the chance to work with some really incredible people.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was great. I sang on a Bette Midler album that I think I ended up on the floor with that one. Chuck Plotkin let me play percussion and sing on Tommy Two Tones. I think I have a drum track on there. Sam Clayton also played it. And I remember Clover looking at the reel go around with the white splice tape on it, like a zillion splices in the song. But basically that was Victor Carberry on drums. But we all have something on it of that song. It was just so fun. So he really helped me. And, I always said, I suck to say. He says, actually, he showed me on the meters how my brother was rushing on guitar so much. And I said, are you sure I'm not lagging? And he looked at me. So on that album, I cut all the drum track because we did our pre-production. I mean, we were so well rehearsed that I did the drum tracks alone. And then they overdubbed all the gear on it, which was great. It gave me the freedom to swing with it because I knew the songs in my head. And if you don't know, singing and drumming is important to me because that gives me a swing.
Yeah.
Because it's the alternate rhythm going on often. And I almost feel funny not singing. I think about drumming when I'm not, which is fun too, because after the Cowsills were over, I joined one band called Grease the Cat. I moved back to Rhode Island and I wasn't playing at all. I was going to sell my drums and I was doing vinyl siding on somebody's house at 18 years old. And these guys called me from Newport, who were a little bit older than me, and said, hey, or I was 17. Do you want to join a band? And Dom, it was the best thing that ever happened in my life because I learned the Led Zeppelin stuff, Deep Purple, Edgar Winter, all the white trash stuff, Johnny Winters. These guys were my education. Now, there was a band called Flash, which had some guys from Yes in it before Yes, right before Yes Fragile came out. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm not good on names and who's famous and that kind of stuff. But it was a song called Small Beginnings, and that was my audition tune. And I haven't played in 9 months. Man, I sat there and I played that record over and over again. Had I been able to chart, I could have written it out and learned it quicker. But, I was lifting the needle and it was all nothing but that was the first time I ever got to lean into something. God knows how I sounded, but they liked me. So, and it was funny because now I was a peer in a band instead of being told what to do. Cause it was a hierarchy in my family. Bill, you're doing that wrong. Do this. Always told what to do. So these guys liked me. And that was the first time I said, well, I don't really sing. And I just played drums. They said, fine, you don't have to sing. I said, okay. I ended up singing some Elton John stuff in there, like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. But otherwise, a couple of oohs. But we were playing Stairway to Heaven, Over the Hills and Far Away, Good Times, Bad Times.
What fun.
Yeah, I learned how to work the goddamn kick drum. It was awesome, man. All those Speed Kings I had were just breaking left and right. I went through so many bass drum heads and smashed the foot plates on everything. God. Yeah.
So here you had learned so many Beach Boy tunes in your life that you're playing.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, so you're playing all these Beach Boys, and then all of a sudden you hook up with the band, but you started with the Beach Boys playing piano, if I'm not correct, right?
Well, actually, in the early 80s, I had gone to Santa Barbara. I had just finished a run with Dwight Twilley. And I got to IV, and my brother Barry said, hey, you need to meet these two guys who are playing around the local area in Santa Barbara. I said, okay. And it was Jeff Foskett, Randell Kirsch, and Robbie Scharf. And they had a band called The Pranks. Anyway, I hooked up with these guys. Jeff was just about to join the Beach Boys. So he was working with Mike Love on a side project called Mike Love and his Endless Summer Beach Band. And he got me a couple of dates on that. And I mean, I was living in a Datsun B210 with a passenger seat out, because I had nothing. And I said, okay. And they sent me down to Nike in Santa Monica, and they filled a duffel bag with clothes. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. New shoes. And flew me to Florida. I played these spring break gigs with Dean Torrance of Jan and Dean and Mike Love. And they did these Budweiser sponsored things. And they paid me so much cash. They handed me like $1,000 in cash when I landed. I said, oh my God, you paid me in cash. And they said, no, that's your per diem. I went, what is that? I had no idea what per diem was. He said, well, that's money just to so you can eat. And I said, okay. And then they paid me after that. And so I met Mike Love up in Santa Barbara because Jeff lived on his property. And actually, my first time with the Beach Boys, I played Yankee Stadium, 1966. It was called Sound Blast 66. And it was the McCoys, the Association, Stevie Wonder, Etta James, Ray Charles, the Beach Boys, the Association, the Byrds, all on one roster. Unbelievable. Yeah. And David Crosby remembers me going up to him, he says, God bless him. Because I was looking at him in that page boy cut with his cape on, and I just couldn't believe I was there in that room. And we opened the show, but it was a big flop because they tried to segregate the concert, and nobody wanted to go then. So it kind of fizzled. But that's the first time I met the Beach Boys. And then all those years later, I ended up getting subbed, and then I kind of did some inappropriate behaviors because I think I'm funny all the time, and I didn't get called back for quite a while. And then I got a call from Mike's wife years later and said, could you put a tape together of you singing the high parts and, playing guitar or whatever? I said, okay. And she's saying, and, because we really are looking for new people for this band. I said, can I ask you a question? And she says, yes. I said, does your husband know that you're calling me? And she said, no. I said, you might want to run that by him, because I had done some kooky shit, like just being funny, like, kick a windshield out of a car because it's got the $5 insurance on it. I read all the stories. I knew how to be. But they laugh about that today because, yeah, they hired me to play guitar because I had subbed on guitar for a couple of the guys before. When they called me out to sub for drums in 98, because their drummer, I got a call out of the blue. I'm buying Tigerwood 10 gem cards because I need to make some money. I got 2 kids in the bedrooms. I can't sleep because I'm going through a gnarly divorce. How am I going to get out of debt? And that phone rings at midnight, and Farmer's saying, hey, can you come down to LAX? And I'm pissed off because, this guy's screaming at me to buy these collector cards, and I'm charging him on a credit card that's got no limit. And I said, no, I can't come down there. He says, can you do it in the morning? And ring off in my head. I went, yeah, I'll be there in the morning. And so I subbed for their drummer for 2 shows. And then everybody else is saying, what else do you play? What else do you play? Can you sub for me? They were all whining about stuff and didn't want to do certain gigs. I said, yeah, hire me. And so I did that. And so once they said they wanted me to come out for a summer, I said, okay, I'll come out for summer. So I charged my rent on the credit card. I learned all the guitar parts in a week before I went out. This is after a month and a half of learning the guitar parts and the vocal parts. They said, are you ready to go? I said, yeah, as long as I'm not playing lead and the other guy's playing the lead parts, I'm good to go. He says, well, you're not playing guitar. I said, well, what am I playing? He says, piano. I said, and he says, didn't anybody call you? I said, you're the only person who even contacted me. I still don't even know if I was really going. And so I ended a week before I went out. I got Billy Hinchy, who used to play with them, Carl Wilson's brother-in-law. Yeah. And he for $100, he laid me out with the charts, because the band just sent me a CD with the piano on the other side that sounds like somebody was serving pizza at the Shakey's parlor. It was so busy. And I'm saying, that doesn't sound right. And so I got him to teach me the right parts, because they do play piano, but it's all Elton John songs and Beatles songs. So that for 7 years I was there, and then they went in a new direction, and I became the drummer. And I was never so happy in my life to be a drummer, because I really wanted to play those parts the way the records were. And the guy before us didn't really play them that way. Don't Worry Baby is not a samba.
Yeah.
Don't Worry Baby is a straight 2/4. Doom ba doom ba doom da doom ba. Let everybody do the accents and the counter rhythm. I love that, man. So awesome.
So here you are. And Dennis Wilson was an excellent drummer. So I mean, you got to learn some fills, and even Hal Blaine had certain parts. You had to kind of mix all this together.
Yeah. Well, the Hal songs, I play the Hal way. The Dennis who played on Don't Worry Baby, I play the Dennis way. Not the years later Dennis, because he was off the charts hitting everything. He was a mess later on. But those recordings were just, they start with that high. Come on, it still raises the hair on my arm, man.
Absolutely.
I'm in the best band for me. I know I'm not going to go much further, but I love this catalog. And people say, how can you play that the same way every night? I said, because it's always a challenge to play it the right way.
Yeah.
I said, and mean it. And I always mean it, because I just grew up meaning it. I love to play drums, and I play with passion. And I guess that's why I have a gig and I sing. And I love that shot, because that's my wife's band.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I just love to play. And I love looking at the drums still. I'm my own tech too. I've never had a drum tech in my life. Most of the reason because nobody wants to pay for it. But the other reason, I'm such a control freak. I don't know what it's like to have a real drum tech. I have drum teched. I drum teched for Michael Hosick, who used to be in the Doobie Brothers for a while. And that was the funnest thing. And he taught me a lot about, look at that mad mess there. I would never wire a kit like that ever. But that's on a stage that goes in a circle. So there's not a lot of hiding going on. Oh my God, I love that. Look at that. It's a beautiful kit. That's a bitchin' drum head too.
Beautiful.
I have a lot of cool drum heads that I get over the years I have made. It's something to do.
How amazing with this is. So did you have to listen to parts like Hal Blaine's parts? Did you have to work on it and analyze?
Oh yeah, once I became the drummer, RMD Scott Taunton, who's just incredible. I mean, he and I basically took over the band from the other musical director and drummer, because the whole time we were in the band, from the first day, we'd go like, it felt like a horse trying to get back to the stable before the show was over. I mean, there was not a lot of eye contact. They did kind of wonky versions of the songs. They sounded like the Beach Boys almost, but so Scott fixed all the vocal parts, all the music parts, all the instrumentations, and I fixed the drums, because I picked them apart, and I've probably gone away. Maybe something's not exact. I was really anal in the beginning. I still am pretty much. I just keep it really simple and play the record versions of the songs, like the beginning of Good Vibration, ba-dum bum, tambourine, boom, ba-dum bum, boom. That means so much to me. That it's a signature. It's why first thing you hear on the record on the radio, you say, you're paying attention. Yes, that's cool. And the roll into it, doom, 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 boom, doom, boom, boom. And when I grow up to be a man, Hal Blaine was awesome with that song, because the backbeats on the backside, like, rum, boom, rap, 1, 2, 3, 4, bam, boom, rap, boom, rap, boom. That's a down, chicka, boom, 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 da-dum, the ghost note, da-dum. Oh God, I know. Listen to me, and I've been with them 20 years. It's still a freaking cool thing to play all those songs.
Now the 50th anniversary. That tour must have been incredible. Brian Wilson, Al Jardine, David Marks. Just give me a quick rundown on that.
The quick rundown of that is, I definitely didn't think I was going to be the drummer on that. I thought Brian definitely was going to take his own band. I didn't know Mike was going to say, well, I want some of my guys, because Mike wanted to just be in charge of the set list, because he's really good at that. And And in fact, my friend Mark Schulman was going to get me audition with Foreigner because I said, dude, I don't know if I'm going out with this thing. He says, well, do you want to audition for Foreigner? I said, well, I'd be afraid to because, they do that big, you got to be a soloist, a drum solo guy. He says, I'll teach you solo. It's like, oh, God, I love Mark Schulman. He's been a really good friend. And
Mark is an absolute saint. I know Mark very well for about 35 years now.
I don't know him that well, but he really came to one of my shows. He was a Cowsill fan, made me feel great again, taught me about having a doctor beat or some kind of time thing to get the MD off your back for count offs and stuff. It changed my life. A lot of people have.
Mark is a seasoned pro. I did many clinic tours with him, and we hung out together for years. He aside from Foreigner and Cher, and now with Pink.
Pink.
He's kept the thick of what it is, so it's great to have that kind of a support team behind you for sure.
Yeah, he's a motivational guy too. I've gone and do a couple of things. He let me sing "Creep" when he was doing a book signing thing. It was really fun. Just people have been so nice to me, and I'm so fortunate. Like Greg Bissonette. I mean, somebody pinched me.
Another great guy, right?
Mario Caleri, Dax Nielsen. Just so many great players who have just been helpful. Louis Appel, who's no longer with us, played with Southside Johnny. Mario hooked me up with Ludwig. When Chad came on board, like I said, I'd been buying sticks from them, but I'm not really a drummer, so I wasn't getting them free. And then Chad said, you don't have to pay me for these. You don't Cowsill. It's like, oh my God, there he is. I love him. And, we just became great friends, I'm friends with all the people who, oh gosh, I love her. Mona Travacoli, one of the best percussionists, best cajon player ever.
What
and
a
singer.
Well, you mentioned all the names, like Louis Appel. Louis Appel was from Long Island.
Yeah.
I gave lessons to when he was a kid.
Oh my gosh.
And again, he left us way too soon. Another phenomenal player. But you had the chance to kind of connect with all these people. Now you got to give me a talk about Action Skulls.
Yeah.
This is the latest project with Vicky and Bill and Bill. So what's that like?
When I used to be on Facebook, I would see Bill Mummy, and I heard that he played with my brother at the Fox and Hound because I'm always out of town playing with the Beach Boys. I always missed the cool stuff. And I thought that would have been the coolest thing because I grew up watching Lost in Space. I was in love with Angela Cartwright since Make Room for Daddy. She played Linda, and it was just so iconic. And so when I saw him on there, Bill is very talented and a talented writer and a real troubadour. Earthy and a million ideas. And so he had these songs. He'd put them up on his Facebook. And I finally reached out and I texted him. I said, sentimentally, he reminds me of my brother Barry.
Wow.
So talented.
Beautiful.
I said, dude, can I play some brushes on your stuff?
Wow.
And he reached out and he says, yeah, and so we kind of just snuck into a kind of a relationship. And I went to Peter Leinheiser, who was the A&R guy at Gibson Guitars, a good friend of ours, and invited to a Christmas party. And so I texted Bill, he's going to go to this birthday party, Christmas party there. And then he's going to go to Angela's after that. Okay, cool. And so I get to Peter Leinheiser's house with my wife, Vicky. Bill's there with his wife, Eileen. And I'm a real joker, and I just learned that Angela Cartwright lives 4 houses up from where we are. And so we're there visiting with Peter and everything, and it's all fine. And as a joke, because I do that, my brother Paul does this, he's the king of this joke. But I said, all right, y'all, I said as loud as I could in the room, can I get everybody's attention? I got to split. I got to go to Angie's Christmas party up the street. And Bill, without missing a beat, turns around. Oh, that's right. We got to go. Well, let's go together. And I looked at him. I said, Mummy, I don't know her. I wasn't invited to her Christmas party. He says, yeah, you're coming with me. And so he took me and Vicky to Angela Cartwright's house. Oh, shit. And we walked in and she looked just like her. And her sister Veronica's there. Some cast members from Lost in Space are there. And a Who's Who room was just, somebody pinched me and I'm saying, Vicky, I can't believe we're in here. I can't believe. And there's a guy playing piano there who they hired for the party. And, he got up and I sat there and Bill came and sat next to me. And people sitting around. I'm the greatest person to start a song and never complete it without mistakes. And so we were playing there, and he starts singing, and we're doing some Beach Boy stuff and some, I can't even remember the songs. And my wife starts joining in it, and we really sound good. You know, I love singing, and I'll do it anywhere. And so does Bill, and so does my wife. And we said, we should form a band. And I said, yeah, we'll call it Action Figures, like, you know, or the Iconic Kids. And he says, no, that's too much to stand up to. I said, okay. He says, how about, and he's got a skull ring, and he puts it out in front of me. He says, Action Skulls. And somehow, and Vicky looked at us and she says, I'm not joining a band called Action Skulls. So we had to talk her into this. And we've made a few albums. We made one over the pandemic. Bill has a tendency, when you send him a demo, he dumps it in his computer and finishes it and puts all these other instruments. And hey, this no, not that one. So payback was during the pandemic. He sent a song to some friends, and I heard it, and I just loved it. It was so beautiful, called Social Distancing Blues. And I told Vicky, I said, we're dumping this in our computer and we're going to lush this thing out. And we put vocals, everything. It was kind of bluegrassy, so it was really fun. Deer tracking vocals, I call it. And he sent us 9 more songs. Great, I love it. 9 more. And every day we were in this room here recording. And he's a slave driver, you know, because we take too long and we torture him with that. And we know, Bill, I love you. And, you know, if you watch this thing, you know, I love you. And he loves us too. And so we just completed another one after 3 years because we take forever.
That is fantastic. It sounds like Vicky seems to be the only reasonable one and sensible one in the band. That's what it sounds like.
She is. And she takes the longest. So. So I feel like I'm in the middle sometime because she's got dog ears and I don't. I say, oh, that's good enough. She says, actually, listen to that section there. It's like, shit, man, she's right. But it's good to have quality control in there. So that's the Action Skulls, and we love doing it. This new one, we don't know how we're going to put it out because, you know, to make more than $37, we'd probably like to have a record company do this instead of CD Baby, who takes everything, and Spotify, who gives you nothing. But you know, we made $30 today on an Action Skull song, so that was kind of cool. And I have this lovely studio. You know, a friend of mine, Paul Allen, not the Paul Allen, but he set me up in here over the last few months so that I can do like what you do. This is a full recording session now. I mean, this kid is mic'd up. I got room mics all over the place here. It's not a big room, but great drum sounds in here, not kidding. So any of you kids who want me to play on your record, give me a shout. Of course, there's no way to reach me unless I put my phone number on here. Oh my gosh. I'm so afraid of social media.
We will track you down for sure in the process. But before we leave, tell me about your Vater sticks. You got the NUDE series, Manhattan 7As that you like playing with. You also have some brushes and some mallets.
Yeah. Okay. So these are the mallets I use. This is like for Wouldn't It Be Nice and things like that. These are brushes for like Till I Die, which is from the Surf's Up album. This is my Vater V right here. I switch around, but I used to only use 5Bs or 5As for a long time. Yeah, those are 5As, I think. And I was hanging out with Dennis Dyken. Hey, we sang on a Smithereens album too. That was another amazing story. But anyway, Dennis Dyken is drummer of the Smithereens. And he's a big guy. And we were in a hotel room and I saw his sticks and they were so light. They're like the lightest thing in the world. I said, dude, you play with these? He says, yeah, they're really amazing. And so, you know, I want the latest fad, whatever groovy out there. I said, well, I'm going to get me some, you know. And I got the Manhattan 7As with the round tips on them. And after like 15 minutes of playing with them, they felt like a regular stick and everything felt really heavy after that. So the bounce is really nice in the 7A, and I just love them. But I do like they make a stretch as well. Where's that one? That's hanging right here. Yeah, this is the stretch stick. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a stretch one. So that's a little bit longer than 16 inches. Can you see that?
Yes, yes.
And have to get the Scotch tape off it. I was going to put balloons up, but I thought sticks were better. But really, my favorite thing is this one. The Monster Brush.
The Monster Brush, yeah.
Man, they're right in between. They sound great when I really know I should be using wire brushes, but I use these Monster Brushes regularly. They're great to hit a tambourine when I pull all the rubber bands forward, like in God Only Knows. So there's no stick attack, but you just hear the chink of the tambourine, which is just incredible. You know, I just love all this stuff. Oh man, I'm really lucky. I'm so appreciative of everything you guys do.
Well, I'll tell you something, John. You've got some serious fans that have joined us here, and everyone from Kathy Parker to John Palino. I mean, we got so many people that are here. To
Nice.
Barbara Abrams have joined us. I mean, so many people. You know, Kathy Green, Brent Barnes. It's just so great that these people have joined on to hear your story and to hear what you're doing. And it really is wonderful that you are continuing to inspire people with your incredibly positive, enthusiastic spirit.
Woo! I got that going for me. I think that's why I get hired. I'm not a big downer on the road, you know.
Listen, that's, you know, the family on the road, no matter who you're traveling with, has got to have that positive attitude, that energy.
Got to have it. No whiners allowed, man. You whine, you're going to leave. You're not going to be here long.
Big time.
If you can't like carry your weight gracefully when needed to be, you know, everybody gets in a mood and everybody has a bad day, but don't bring it on stage, man. Don't take attitude up there. That's the only place. And I learned that from my brother, Bill. Leave your shit off the stage and get up there because you're about to do something with 2 sticks in your hand. Come on, give me a break. I've had some jobs, but not like this one. It's the best. So create music, people.
We hold wood in our hands, we strike metal and plastic, and we make noise. How we get paid is when we organize the noise.
Yeah, well, right? You know, we get paid to travel most of the time, unless you can teach in your studio at home and you can do those things. But if you're a traveling musician, you are paid to travel because I play it for free at home. Yeah. I sit here and play all day. Nobody's paying me. You know, so it's a lovely thing. I'm so blessed, and anybody out there, Vater sticks are the coup, and I know that. Dom, you're incredible, and I'm just honored that you are interviewing me. I mean, I do my research on who's who and everybody, and I mean, you took from Joe Morella. Come on, do I need to say anything more? And that story last week about Vinny Cayuta sitting in the row with John DeChris. Oh my God, it's killing me. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is.
It really is a pretty crazy world we are. And drummers unite together to get together and share their stories. You have done great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your stories. Thank you so much for your positive energy. Stay well, stay safe. And I want to make sure I get you my number so when you get to New York, if I can help you in any way, you know I'm a phone call away.
I love that. Thank you, Dom. And Chad, I can't see you right now, but I love you. And Alan, I love you guys. I love everybody at Vater. And you know that I really mean that because you're just the best people ever. So,
John, thank you so much for your time. Stay well and stay safe for sure.
Okay, you too, man.
Thanks. Boy, how absolutely fantastic. John Cowsill, what a great story. And he's just continuing with this positive, you know, adventure of playing music and bringing joy to people on stage, singing and drumming and playing every other instrument you could possibly imagine. He's a multi-talented, you know, musician at what he does, and his spirit and heart is right in the core of the music, and that really sends the loudest message. Thanks so much, John. Fantastic. Now, next week, as I said, tune in next week, the 29th. We've got Brent Fitz of Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators will be checking in with us to share some career history, advice, stories, personal information, and experience. This is incredible. Brent has been on the drum kit with Alice Cooper, Vince Neil, Gene Simmons, Ronnie Montrose, Brad Whitford of Aerosmith, so many more. He also plays bass with top rock legends, The Guest too. Bring it on next week for Brent. That's absolutely fantastic. John, thank you so much again for your time and effort. I'll see you all next week. Dom Famularo here, Vater Percussion. We do it again. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.